honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, sir. This is most important. It's great to be with you.
In an increasingly turbulent geopolitical landscape, one surprising reality is emerging with greater clarity. Russian President Vladimir Putin doesn't need US President Donald Trump to achieve his goals in Ukraine. The recent two-hour call, casually taken by Putin during a visit to a music school on the Sochi coast, revealed as much in both tone and substance. As calls grow for an immediate ceasefire and speculation swirls about Trump's potential role in brokering peace, the Kremlin appears unmoved. Why? Because Putin sees Trump not as an asset, but as irrelevant to the war's ultimate outcome. Here are 3 reasons why Putin doesn't need Donald Trump. From the outset of the invasion in February 2022, Russia has framed the conflict not as a border dispute with Ukraine, but as a broader existential struggle against NATO's expansion and Western encroachment. This narrative has been relentlessly pushed through Russian state media and is central to the Kremlin's justification for the war. In Putin's eyes, Ukraine is merely the battleground. The real enemy is a Western alliance with the United States at its helm. This framing strips away any illusions that a single United States president, even one with a favorable attitude towards Moscow like Trump, could meaningfully alter the Kremlin's course. Yes, Trump might slow down the weapons deliveries or create divisions within the NATO, but none of that changes Putin's larger objective: to restore Russian influence over former Soviet territories and redefine the post-Cold War European order. As far as the Kremlin is concerned, this is a war that must be fought and, at least publicly, cannot be lost, not for territory, but for national identity and historic pride. Only days before his call with Putin, Trump was posturing as the eager intermediary. He hinted at plans to broker a meeting between Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Turkey, portraying himself as a deal maker who could bring an end to the bloodshed. But after speaking with Putin, Trump's message noticeably shifted. He suggested that Russia and Ukraine should talk directly as only they can and floated the Vatican as a potential venue for negotiations, which is a symbolic gesture that simultaneously distances the United States from any leadership role. In effect, Trump is stepping back. His comments echo those of US Vice President J.D. Vance, who bluntly said, "It's not our war." This growing sentiment among America's Republican leadership plays directly into Moscow's strategy to outlast the West's patience and undermine its unity. The Kremlin's ideal scenario is simple: a fractured NATO, a distracted America, and a fatigued Ukraine. If Trump's return to the White House results in the United States reducing its diplomatic engagement or cutting military aid, Putin doesn't have to negotiate or concede anything. He just has to keep going. America's options for pressuring Russia have narrowed. Trump has floated the idea of secondary sanctions on countries like India and China that continue buying Russian oil. But such moves risk sparking new tensions with global powers the US has only recently re-engaged. Conversely, easing sanctions to coax Russia into concessions would alienate America's European allies and likely fall flat without their cooperation. In short, Washington is boxed in. There's little it can do that wouldn't either harm its own global relationships or produce marginal returns. And Putin sees this clearly. He knows the West is constrained by economic interdependence, diplomatic fatigue, and a lack of military appetite. More importantly, he knows Trump has no real incentive to go further than President Joe Biden did. If anything, Trump's platform is built around scaling back US involvement in overseas conflicts, not escalating them. That means Russia can keep waging war with minimal new risk from Washington, particularly under a second Trump presidency. Trump's America First mindset leaves Europe largely to its own defenses, which is a strategic vacuum that favors the Kremlin. The implications of this dynamic go far beyond one phone call. The past 10 days have underscored how little Putin needs or wants the US leadership in this war. What he does want is time. Time for Western resolve to weaken, time for Ukraine's resources to dwindle, time for political change in NATO countries to erode unity. Meanwhile, Europe faces bleak options. It cannot match the United States alone in sustaining Ukraine, but it must hold the line to prevent further Russian aggression. The central logic of the European policy remains: only a united NATO can pressure Russia to reconsider its goals. Without that unity, Ukraine stands increasingly isolated. And in the midst of all this, Trump sees no deal worth making. Putin isn't negotiating, he is taking. There's nothing to offer that the Kremlin values more than its vision of regional dominance. Trump may believe his business instincts and diplomacy could bring a resolution, but this war defies logic. There's no middle ground. Putin doesn't seek balance, he seeks victory. And so, in a symbolic but telling moment, the Russian president takes a call with the leader of the free world, not in a war room, but in a music school. Calm, confident, unshaken, because he no longer needs Trump. He needs only time, and the West too tired to stop him. That's the reality of today's war in Ukraine. And it's a reminder that in this conflict, indifference from Washington may be the biggest gift Moscow could hope for.